welcome back. So in this episode, we're going to be doing timing belts and pulleys, all of that stuff, and then we will adjust the valves, rocker covers, spark plugs, miscellaneous hoses, pretty much anything that goes on the short block before the engine goes in the car. Don't forget the seal when you go put stuff back together. Try to pay attention. One step forward, two steps back seems to be the name of my game lately. But it does get better. 57.9 foot-pounds. We're going to be using our Company 23 pulley holder. So let's get these babies torqued up. So I'm playing with the new editing style, obviously. And I still have yet to have figured out quite when to start talking after I've turned the GoPro back to real speed. So excuse the little pauses there. So now normally I put that cogged idler on, and then I'm able to get the bolt or the belt to stretch around the water pump and onto the cogged idler, but this belt was too tight. It was either too cold or something, so 28.9 foot-pounds for all the idlers. Let's go! Doing it that way actually worked out pretty well. Okay. Timing belt's all on. Everything's looking good. So, most satisfying part of all. Pulling that pin, baby. Okay, so unfortunately the audio cut out for this particular video, but that red arrow there, that arrow is the indicator to indicate what cylinder is top dead center. So right here, cylinder 1, top dead center. When that arrow is straight up at that mark on the timing cover, cylinder 1 is at top dead center. Now the firing order is 1, 3, 2, and 4. So you adjust your valves in that order. This cylinder 1 right here. Blah, 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 blah. I was talking. I don't remember what I was saying. I had quite a bit of audio cut out here recently. So here we're going to go to cylinder 3. Wait, 1, 3, 2, 4. That's how it goes. Is that what I said? Anyways, there's number 3. And so it's the same side, just the rear cylinder. And as you're rotating the engine, you'll kind of feel it fall into kind of a dead space when one of the cylinders reaches top dead center. So cylinder 2, which is left front. That one there. And then cylinder 4. So according to Subaru, the valve clearances are as follows. Intake is 0.20 millimeters with a tolerance of plus or minus 0.04. And the exhaust is 0.25 millimeters with a tolerance of 0.04. Now, I didn't know how to do this when I first started. I'd never really messed with feeler gauges before, and you know, there's a feel to it. You definitely can cram feeler gauges into spots that they don't technically fit into. And so a buddy of mine come over and taught me what was up with it. And basically you just look at this tolerance and you just say, you know, if it's close to 0.20 millimeters or 0.25 millimeters, it's good. There are ways that you can eke a little bit more performance out of the engine by adjusting them to their lesser tolerance. So for the intake, you might adjust it to 0.16, and to the exhaust, you would adjust it to 0.21. This way the valves open just that little bit further. But you know what we're gonna do, and I've got a series of feeler gauges here that I keep on a ring. And so largest one is, let's see, what have we got? We've got 0.28 millimeters is the largest one, and then the smallest one is 0.18. Basically, I try to set it to its factory recommendation, 0.20 for the intake and 0.25 for the exhaust. I use feeler gauges more as go, no-go gauges. If the 20 slips in and it's a little tight, depending on how tight, you know, if the 25 slips in and it's pretty loose, then you definitely need some adjustment. So we're going to go through these and starting on cylinder 1, and we'll do the thing. So follow along. Opening these up because I don't care what they're set to. I'm gonna make changes to them anyways. I'm gonna just set them up. You might be in an interest of, you know, saving time or energy. You know, you might just check them before you do it. Clearly, I'm not gonna do that, but you do you, which I've come to understand is a very polite way of telling somebody to go fuck themselves as well. Have you heard of that? Anyways, so I'm just gonna set them up for me and do what I do, and you do what you do, okay? Okay, so what you just saw was me just going through and, you know, setting them up quickly. I haven't tightened anything down, obviously, and I backed them way off. Oops. And then we came in and tried to set them up. Now I'm feeling pretty good about all of that right there. Maybe with the exception of that one. That one might seem a little tight. Nope, it wasn't. I was just coming in at a funky angle. So I'm pretty happy with that. So I'll go on ahead and tighten all these down, and then we'll rotate it and we'll go to the next cylinder. If I can keep from dropping stuff. I wanted to point out was, as you're using these feeler gauges and you're trying to get everything set up, it's real easy to come in with your screwdriver, you know, and push down, and when you do that, you're making this real tight. And so if you back off of it, or not even have it in the, now it's really loose, and so you can give yourself sort of a false spec there by doing that. So just saying. If you want to double check yourself, you could use the feeler gauges as if they're go, no-go gauges. And so Subaru gives you a tolerance of plus or minus 0.04. These ones are 20, the intakes are 20, so an upper tolerance of 0.24. I don't have a 0.24, but I have a 0.25, so we'll see if she goes and she don't go. Get my arm out of frame here. 0.25 don't go. Same thing for the exhaust. You've got 0.25 as an upper. I don't have I don't have a 0.29, but I've got a 0.28. Nope, no go. So shit, that cylinder is good to go. I'll go through and tighten these down, and we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so we pointed that arrow down there 90 degrees, and it's pointed away. So that means this one now is loose. So let's see where we're at, just for pickles. 25 and 20. Ooh, 25 is tight. 25 doesn't go. I would say those exhausts are 20 right now. And that one intake is probably 19. Let's see, I've got an 18 here. Wished I had bent these all the same direction. Yeah. 17 or 18. Oh, maybe that's like 16. Oh, yeah, way too tight. So we'll make our adjustments. And again, because I'm not in a hurry, I'm just gonna back these off and we're gonna set them up to what I want. That I've got this cool pass-through socket set, and I could drop a 10mm on there, and then I don't know what happened to my other screwdriver, but this is the screwdriver that I use to set carburetors on my chainsaws, and it's nice because it's great for working on carburetors because it's got that nice flat edge across here. It doesn't have that big flare out like flatheads usually do, and so this allows you to get down inside that carburetor and pull out jets and things like that. But for our case today, that's a little dirty in there. I'll have to clean that before we get started. Oh yeah, baby. Are we still in frame? So something else occurred to me while I was doing this. You may have caught it. If you did, good for you. I'm gonna double check these. The deal with it is if you come in from this top side here, even though these are angled, bent, you still kind of get them bound up a little bit here. So it's actually better to come in sideways here to check that. You know, and then this one you'd come in this way and see. I'm glad that I double checked. And every time I do this, I forget this. Here, that feels nice. That feels good and solid. That feels tight. Feels within spec. Here, that's loose. So let's go. Here's 25. Where are we at? That is 25, maybe 26. So I'm glad we had a chance to double check. Now let's double check the exhaust. There's 25, and that actually feels a little loose too. There's 28. That's a little tight, so maybe we're at 27. I mean, we're within spec, but you know, and 28 there, that actually feels pretty right too. But of course, 28 there is a no-go, as you already saw. And so, don't do what I did. Do it the right way, which is coming in from the side to set them. So I'm gonna go through and readjust these, and we'll go on to the other side. See, I was pushing right there. Have to be careful not to push. And it doesn't take a lot of downward pressure on that to make that feel tight when it shouldn't be. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that. Feeling pretty good about it. So I'll tighten these up, make double sure. Yeah, that feels good. Although those wouldn't have moved anyways. So I'll double check these and make sure they're good and tight. And then we'll rotate it, hit here, and then we'll get to the other side. Same deal on this side. A little bit of movement in the exhaust side. Tiny bit of movement on that one. No movement on that one. So do you want to see where we're at? Just for pickles here. I don't think my smallest one is going to fit. Maybe 16.16. Try the exhaust here. 0.18 doesn't go, and 0.18 does go in that one, so I'd say that one actually is 0.18. And then this one, nah, nothing's going in that, so back them off and set them up. Oh, whatever monkey's been in here, they don't need to be that tight, folks. Jeez. Ugh. Oh, I guess you don't want them loosening up either, huh? Man, that's tight. I don't know what the torque spec is on that. Let's see. .2 foot-pounds, so not much. You know, actually, I'm gonna get you set up on the other side so that I can get in there. Ugh. And just like that, your valves are adjusted. You know, I'm sure there's more than one way to do that. Probably as many ways as, well, I don't know, but there's probably a bunch of ways to do it. So if you do it differently, I'd like to know about it, because this is most definitely an art, using a feeler gauge. All right, so from here, it's time to get the rocker covers in place. All right. As I was putting these rubbers in here, I had to kind of stretch it out on this side in order to get it to fit, and I don't think that's right, so shouldn't have to force things really. So maybe better just to start on each side and then work your way in to the middle, like so. And for giggles, I like to give it a good whack. I was sitting here looking at these thinking to myself, you know, I ought to paint these. Virtually nothing else on the engine now is raw aluminum like this. And it just kind of looks out of place. Oop. Is that right? Yep, that's right. Doesn't it look out of place? Sure cleaned up nice though. You know, and it really makes me glad, trash truck out there, really makes me glad I spent all of the time cleaning everything up like I did. Because when it comes time to assemble, you're not dirty, you're not having to stop to degrease things, you just put stuff in and go. We want plates! So you're going to see me do something here that arguably may not be needed. When I do this, it makes me feel better. And me feeling good, obviously, is the name of the game. And so I just take my oil can and before I button this up, I just drizzle oil all over this thing. Ugh. Yeah, I just drizzle oil all over it, so if you want to watch, we can. Get all up in them cracks, all up in them joints. I think this helps on startup, you know? It's not dry. Not that any of this stuff was dry, necessarily, just helps. There's plenty of high stiction lubricant in there, but you know, just until we build oil pressure for the first time, I find this helps. Actually, I don't know if it helps, I'll be honest, but I like it, so I do it. Nice healthy squeeze down there. Okay. So torque spec on these is these two extra bolts that you may have seen. These are the oil fill. So I'm just gonna lightly screw those in. All right, so what do we got here? We got 2 long bolts and 3 short ones. So the 3 short ones must go in the 3. And then the 2 long ones go up on top. Okay. And push those grommets into place. What the fuck? Get in there. We'll make it fit in there. Anyway, so the torque specs on these is, what was it, 3.2 pounds? Torque spec on them is 3.6, so. We're not tightening, we're just drawing it up. Probably seen me do that a bunch. Nice. Everything looks good. We'll just double check these and I really don't want them to leak is all. All right, beautiful. Torque spec on this right here is obviously, I think it's about 120 foot-pounds. So we're just gonna keep wrenching on it until it breaks. Unfortunately, the ultrasonic cleaner removed the paint on top of that. Such is life. Okay, I'm gonna flip it over and do the other side now. And actually, you wanna put some spark plugs in it? Ah, fuck. Let's do the other side first and then we'll come back to that. You know, I forgot. These are shoulder bolts. And so they are proper length, so you can tighten them down till they stop. Here I was worried about stripping things out course, with my experience with the water pump, which you're well aware of, it would not be wrong to be concerned, but I'll flip it over and we'll do the other side. Oh, you guys are in the way for that one. Oh, that's as far as I'm taking that one. All right, those babies are on. Now, time for spark plugs. So here's the deal when it comes to spark plugs, and that's what we're installing. My opinion, copper anti-seize is the thing to use with spark plugs. Anti-seize just gives me the warm fuzzies that I like so much. Copper being conductive. You know, it just one of those things. Hi, doggy. What are you doing? What's hers doing? I mean, why not? What's the argument against not anti-seizing it? Not having any? Not having any friends? I'm just teasing. But seriously, if you don't anti-seize your spark plugs, we're not friends. You know, the truth is that putting the spark plugs in at this moment was a bad idea. They ended up having to come out anyways. Once the engine was in, intake was on, it was time to build oil pressure. Spark plugs had to come out, so waste of time. Do you guys see what I see? Let me give you some B-roll. That's what I see. Woo! Okay, that's what I see. I forgot to clean it, so we'll clean that up and then we'll install it. Shit, that was close. I almost had to put the kibosh on the whole fucking project. Can't believe I forgot to clean that. What a Neanderthal. Okay, let's try that again. Ah, that's better. Phew. Hey, I know. I can hear you guys screaming. What about the dipstick? You can't put the timing cover on without putting the dipstick in first. You know, I've heard that argument. I don't know if it stands up. I got some new rubbers for it. Make sure it's good and clean before we go slapping it on there. Now I got a little pookie on them. And let's see if we can get this thing to... Is that even still in frame here? Yeah, I guess reasonably. There you go. Myth busted. When I was dealing with the overheating H6, one of the first things we did was start looking for vacuum leaks. And I had built myself a pressurized smoke tester for the intake system for the sex wagon, for the turbo car. But I ended up using that on the H6 to try to find out if there were any vacuum leaks in it. Anyway, long story short, the only vacuum leak I found was that O-ring right there. And this one is absolutely as hard as a rock. I mean, it doesn't want to bend. Oh, God, I wish I would just tear. I'm gonna stab myself. Oh, so you can see, hard as a rock. And it's not good. So, get a rag here. Sometimes Felpro kit comes with things you don't expect it to. And then other times it doesn't come with things that you do expect it to. Case in point, that particular Felpro gasket set that I got for this car does not include the two O-rings for the dipstick tube as it plugs into the block. I had a couple in my Subaru stash box, but it didn't have it. However, I've seen Felpro kits not come with that O-ring. So it's a crapshoot. Something to think about if you're gonna do this. Boy, the tip of that is kind of dirty. Is it gonna focus for you? I should clean that. There we go. Properly cleaned. I don't know if you could see that. You just have to take my word for it. Whew, she's tight now. All right, so there was a ton of little miscellaneous things, ground straps, and you know, all of that good stuff. So we'll bolt the dipstick tube down. Remember, 70 million foot-pounds, because it's definitely going to fall off if you don't. And you don't want that. If this thing falls off, you're fucked. Okay. So I suppose the second thing is this water tube that goes across the top. So it's a good thing we labeled it, because I would have forgotten. So I feel like I made a bit of a mistake putting the knock sensor, positioned it like I did. I'm just going to move it a little bit so that it's not chafing on that water line. No big deal. Okay, so that's not tight, but it's in position. And so we're going to rotate the block and we're going to put the water tube, the bypass hose underneath of it. So this is the bypass hose that I'm talking about. You see that? That's the part number. I'll have to salvage the clips off of the old one if I still have it. If not, I've got a bunch. And then, so this thing's always kind of tricky. Try to figure out quite how it goes. But I like to use a little dielectric grease, little just silicone grease on the inside of the tube here. I'll rub it inside there. Makes fitting these things real nice and easy. Here, but always save your hose clamps because you never know when you're going to need one. I'm going to get in here and pull a couple of these out. I'm thinking maybe that one and that one might fit. Maybe that one and that one. Anyway, I'll figure out the best fit, and oops, sorry. Two of these four are gonna be the right fit, so I'll figure it out and we'll go from there. So this is the smaller of the two hose clamps that I pulled out, and it's definitely not gonna fit. I mean, it doesn't even really fit around that. Doesn't seem right. Let's try these larger ones here. Yep, that'll do it. Oop. That should do it. Easy that slid on. I mean, it's just absolutely like butter when you do that. We'll come in here from the other side now. Oh, durr. Why don't you guys remind me to put the hose clamp on? Ah, come on. You guys are in the way. All right, so now that I've gotten in your way, before we put the hose clamps on, we'll rotate this baby. We'll tighten those down. $70 million foot-pounds these. Actually, 12 million foot-pounds for those. So now we'll come in with our sexy, extra sexy beautiful. Although, now that I'm looking at it, you probably can't see, there seems to be a little awkward pressure here. So I'm just gonna move things around until it looks right. Like that. That looks good. Damn. All right. Pretty happy with that. You know, while we're here, we should just go on ahead and put the ground straps on, huh? Just occurring to me, you know, these heads have been painted. There's quite a bit of corrosion here on these metal plates. Probably won't make a ton of difference, but I'm gonna go on ahead and just hit them with a wire wheel or something real fast, and you know, make sure we got good grounds, because everybody's always bitching about grounds, so we'll make sure they're good. No more complaining about grounds. Actually, go ahead and complain all you want. I won't hear it. $80 foot-pounds of those. Now, I kind of forgot where this particular bracket went, unfortunately. I know one of you knows. I'm gonna guess for now, and I'm just gonna say it goes there. Because probably what happens is that O2 sensor wire comes down, attaches here, attaches there, and then goes down. I don't know. And that's 12 foot-pounds. I swear, if any of you are like, oh, I over-tightened a bunch of stuff because you gave me the wrong spec, and you weren't realizing that when I said something was 80 million foot-pounds that I was being the slightest bit facetious. I don't want to hear that. Don't do it. So decisions now. We can put the motor mount on, engine mount. We can put the studs in, and we put the water pump housing and the thermostat in. What do you want to do? Motor mount? Okay. Yeah? Eh? I don't know if you can see that, but I put a little anti-seize on that bolt. Trying to put it in doesn't really feel great, so we'll see if it can clean out those threads a little bit while it goes in. I don't know if you can see that. 26 foot-pounds is the torque on those. Check this out. An Aisin thermostat. You guys ever seen these? I've used a few of these already. And it's identical to the Subaru one. 82 degrees C. That's the deal. And you know, I got one of these. I put it in hot water right next to a Subaru one, and there was no appreciable difference. These things are great value. So we're gonna run. And these threads are just a little on the crusty side for me. See that? I can't see that. And we're also going to go one step further with these little aluminum anti-seize here. Not a lot, just enough. Anti-seize gives me the warm fuzzies. Is that the way it goes? Huh. $85 foot-pounds on those. You don't want it to leak. But if there's any left in this bottle, the exhaust suds are going to get a little blue Loctite. Come on, baby. I don't want to have to go to the store. Ugh. Damn it. Ah ha 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 ha. We'll leave that baby upside down. Are you still watching? Why are you still watching? I mean, I'm doing it and I'm bored. Although the truth is I've watched videos like this too. Don't judge me. So there was a lot of paint in the block where these engine mounts bolted up to. So I took my die grinder, cut that little mark into it, and used that to chase the threads down into the block. Now I did cut that the opposite direction. If you cut it the other direction, it's way more effective. However, it still worked, as you'll see coming up. Thank God that worked, because I'm really not trying to go to the store, spend $15 on a tap for one bolt. And you could see, well, maybe you can't see, but there is a bunch of stuff in there. Grit. Definitely recut those threads. Whew! No more stripped bolts. So the torque spec I have for the crank is 35 foot-pounds and then plus 60 degrees. Okay, well that was 41. Can you see that? There you go. So now I've got that thing set 60 degrees. There's 50. $61 degrees, 135 foot-pounds. $61 degrees if you're going to be pedantic. Isn't that what I said? Pretty sure that's what I said. Okay. So, I think that concludes the putting all the little parts and pieces and shit together for this build. So, next thing is we're going to stuff the engine back into the car. Exciting times. That's right. There she is. What a thing. Everything's on. So, cheers.